Hello, welcome to the next episode of Playground on the Play by Jellynote Discord server. I am your host, JC the Beard, the brass section leader, and I have my fabulous co-host, Dana, who is the strings section leader, with us this week. Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. What about you?
Doing fantastic. I'm excited to get into today's topic because this is something that is very near and dear to my heart, and that is being outdoors, performing music safely, and enjoying yourself. I'm a band kid. So I did a lot of marching band. I did about a decade of it, and I did a summer of drum corps as well. So I've got a lot of experience playing outside, and I know a lot of you watching probably have as well, especially if you were in band in high school or college, or you're going into band in high school or college. And even if you're not in band, I know there's people who do busking, and some orchestras will do outdoor performances in the summer, or there's street bands, or any other thing like that. This is valuable information for people who spend any amount of time outside in the summer or in hot weather or extreme weather or what have you. So hopefully this is something that you can get some enjoyment and information out of. So I'm just going to go ahead.
First off, I want to
Sorry?
stop you before we go on. And I want you to tell us really quickly, how did we get people to vote for this topic, JC? How were
Ah,
you able to do that?
so like Dana said, people voted for this topic. A lot of people voted for this topic, just like all of our playground topics are voted on in the Discord. So if you're watching on YouTube and you're not a member of the Discord, there should be a link in the description for you to join. It's a great community. It's a lot of fun. We'd love to have you there. But what happens is every week we put up a poll a couple days before this event with three possible topic choices, and then it's up to you as the viewers and the people who are in the Discord to choose which topic you want to see, and then we'll discuss whichever one gets the most votes. So this week, this topic got, I think, 5 or 6 times as many votes as either of the other two, so clearly you guys wanted us to talk about this, so I'm excited to get to it, and hopefully you are as well. So we'll go ahead and get going here. I did want to take a brief moment and give a disclaimer. I'm not a medical professional. This is not intended to be medical advice for you in your situation. Always talk to your doctor if you have any sort of health concerns or anything. I'm just a guy on the internet who likes to talk about band. So take that as you will, but a lot of this is good general advice and something that you should be thinking about if you're going to be spending any amount of time outside. But at the end of the day, your health is between you and your doctor, not you and some guy on the internet. So just keep that in mind. So I'm going to approach things mostly from the perspective of marching band, but there are other situations that we're going to cover as well. So just bear with me with that. First up, hydration is key. Drink water. It doesn't matter if you don't like how it tastes. It doesn't matter if you think you've already had enough water. It doesn't matter if you think you couldn't possibly drink any more water than you already have. You have to drink water. That is the most important thing for being outside in the summer, especially if you're playing a wind instrument, because you're going to be doing a lot of breathing. You're going to dry out your face, your mouth, the insides, everything. You have to drink water. That's why band camp, you have water breaks hopefully if your director is good at their job, you have water breaks regularly and you're able to rehydrate yourself, and you're not going to pass out and you're not going to get dehydration sickness or anything. Drink water. It's not enough to drink water the day of. You have to start the day before, 2 days before, the week before. Get in a habit of drinking a lot of water so you are hydrating your entire body and not just the inside of your mouth before you go outside. I know that probably seems really harsh and really repetitive, but I literally cannot express to you how important it is that you are properly hydrated if you're going to be outside doing any amount of strenuous activity, including playing music. So that's something we're going to keep coming back to. But also, it's summer. It's hot. The sun is a thing that exists. You will be sunburned. It does not matter your skin tone. It does not matter how much time you spend outside. You will be sunburned if you are outside long enough. So what I always like to do is I like to make sure that I'm applying sunscreen regularly. I'm wearing clothing that covers as much of my body as possible. Obviously, you're not going to want to go outside in, I don't know, like a rubber raincoat or whatever, but if you cover as much of your body as you can without being uncomfortable, you're going to lessen the damage to your skin, and you're going to have a much better time later on in life when you're not getting skin diseases and you're not all wrinkly and stuff. Just take care of yourself. It's very, very important. I know it's hot and it might not be fun to have a bunch of layers on, or might not be fun to not feel the breeze on every square inch of your skin, but you're going to thank yourself later in life when you don't have a ton of skin related health problems. It's very important. And to that end, it's also important to note that you can still get sunburned through clothing. So yes, even though it sounds stupid, sometimes you have to have sunscreen and clothing on at the same time under your clothing and all that. It's if you spend enough time outside during marching band or drum corps, you're going to understand what I'm talking about. I don't know if anyone in the audience has, but it's happened to me and it can happen to you too. So yeah, even if you aren't super pale, even if you're not like whatever the this part of my arm looks like, I'm not going to show you because I don't want to blind the internet, but you're going to get burned. Trust me. And then especially my brass players and woodwind players, lip care is very important. This, I don't know if you can see focus. This is chapstick. Chapstick's your friend. There's also brands called DCT. There's some other cherry flavored thing. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but lip balm is your best friend if you are outside doing band or anything, especially because chapped lips are going to murder you. And you're playing, it's going to make it very miserable, and picking at that's only going to get worse. So make sure whenever you're playing outside, or even if you're not playing a wind instrument, the sun is going to damage your lips, and the wind especially is going to damage if you lick your lips or the saliva gets all over there or whatever. It's you're going to have a bad time. So take care of your skin, take care of your lips, and also take care of yourself, just holistically, mental health. It takes a toll on you to be outside doing stuff all the time, even if it's something fun like marching band. I think marching band is fun. Not everybody does, but even if it's something fun like, oh, you're out playing in a park all day in a music festival, or you're busking on the street corner, or you're doing marching band, or you're in a community band that performs a concert outside in a bandstand or something. It's very draining to spend time outside in the heat, and it's not just a physical thing. So make sure you take time to recharge yourself physically and mentally like you would with any other activity you're doing. But that's the gist of my quick tips. I've got a couple more specific things, but I wanted to know, Dana, if you had any specific experiences as a strings player doing anything outside in the summer.
Yes, very much so. So, obviously, string players, we don't really do the same marching band activities. And particularly because our instruments are so fragile, right? Our instruments absolutely cannot be exposed to the rain or anything like that. And believe it or not, this is not incredibly common knowledge necessarily, but they can also be damaged by being exposed to too much sunlight as well. I'll talk about that a little bit more. But we don't do things like marching band and stuff like that. But like JC was saying, you might be taking part in an outdoor concert, or the angle that I'm particularly going to come at this at is you might be outside busking, because I used to busk every weekend in the hot summer heat, and I've learned a lot of things from doing that. So part one is just as JC probably said, again, I'm taking this more from a kind of busking perspective. I know that in big rehearsals and everything like that, you're not always able to take breaks, but take regular breaks. It's very important to be able to put your instrument down. If somebody else is busking with you, what you could do, because I always busked with a friend, is I would, because he played cello and I played violin, so a lot of the time he got the easy part with the music that we happened to be doing, and I would just kind of be up here blazing away the whole time. So what I would do is I would put my instrument down, and he would play some Bach suites for a while, and I would go, I did this at farmers markets, and I would get a taco. And that was very important to me. They're very good tacos. But
That.
also, I still remember them. They were so good. But it is very, very important to take breaks as you are able. Again, I understand that if you're in more organized rehearsals, that might not necessarily be something that you could do as easily, but it's very important, especially if you're busking standing up, which I did. There are pros and cons to both standing and sitting. Personally, I think that the best thing to do is a combination of both. Again, if you are able to. There's lots of portable stools and stuff like that. I didn't. And it tired me out very quickly from only standing for hours. So maybe bring a stool. And then my next bit of advice, just like I was saying, is the elements in general are very dangerous to our instruments. So obviously you can imagine that rain is like a string kryptonite. So that's a big no. And so what you could do is, I never did, but if there are ways for your outdoor performing, outdoor rehearsing, that maybe you could bring a large umbrella or something like that. I never did, especially because it becomes a lot of things to carry. But if you don't have an umbrella or if you don't have a very, very shaded, protected area, then you will have no choice but to immediately put away your instrument when there are signs of rain. So that's just something to keep in mind. One time I busted at a winter market that did have, those little tents above all of us, but it started raining so hard that I was very, very scared that it was just pouring off. I grew up in Seattle. And water was just pouring off of the sides of this tent, and I was so scared that it was going to get inside this little area and damage my instrument. I had to go to one of the other vendors to ask for a plastic bag that I could put my violin in and then put it in the case. I've never experienced anything like that before or since. Thank God. That was terrifying. But be very aware of that rain thing. And secondly, is that the sun can also be damaging to your instrument. Not as quickly as the rain. If, a few drops get onto your instrument, especially in the wrong places, on the inside or something like that, then you're going to have a problem. But for the sun, I'm going to do my best to recall, but I believe that the signs of sun burning an instrument, it's kind of like, I want to say it's like bubbling of the varnish or something like that. So just be very mindful. That doesn't mean that it's not okay to play in the sun, but if it is really, really blazing sun, maybe consider if you have the ability to move to somewhere where it's maybe a little bit more protected, under some kind of cover, under some kind of anything, because this never happened to me, and I was out there playing violin for like 4, 5, maybe at a stretch, hours every weekend, and I was incredibly fortunate that that never happened to my violin, but still a very, very critical thing to keep in mind. So essentially, playing in a semi-protected area is generally probably a good idea. Just be mindful that if it's something like a tree or whatever, you might also need to be careful of things falling from that tree. So just assess the area and be smart about it. We have very fragile and delicate instruments, unfortunately. And so we have to be very thoughtful about where exactly we are going to play them. Now, I just have a couple more quick tips or not so quick tips, depending on how you think about it. But I want to talk about our setup outside just a little bit more. And this applies to pretty much everyone, busking, outdoor performances, whatever. If you are able to, bring a stand that is both sturdy but portable. Especially for me, I play music these days. I didn't while I was busking, but I play music off of my iPad. And so whenever I'm bringing a stand around, I want to make sure that that stand is one that I trust to hold this very expensive piece of technology, right? And so I do have a good portable stand that I use that I trust. I don't think it's in this room. Yeah, it's not in this room. I can't tell you the brand, but it's just like a basic wire stand, but a nice sturdy one. And that is very critical because outdoors, even if you're not playing off an iPad like I tend to these days, there's wind, obviously. And so you don't want your stand to blow away. And so that's why sturdy but portable. That's basically the rule of thumb for your entire setup, is you want it to be those two things: sturdy, portable, lightweight, maybe. Not necessarily for the stand, but just in general. And then my last kind of quick tip here, it relates to the first one: bring clothespins or bring something else that you can clip your pages with, because that is very critical. Because one time I was playing outside, I was doing background music for this thing. I barely remember what it was. It was a million years ago. But the most memorable thing was that with my duet partner, we were playing a very, very involved duet that I hadn't played in several years. And again, very involved. It was 20th century. I don't, it might have been, I think it was 20th. It wasn't 21st century, but it was 20th century. And so that means that it's kind of funky and kind of unusual. And the music blew all the way off of the stand. So we kept going, and I kind of pulled it out memorized. I definitely had to flub a couple of sections that I just could not fully remember. But we more or less pulled it off, but you don't want to be in that position. So bring something that you can clip your pages with. You will be so thankful later, because even a bit of wind is enough to completely mess up your set. So those are all of my outdoor music tips that I can kind of think of off the top of my head. Again, I'm taking it from particularly busking because that's what I have the most experience in, but this also applies mostly to, outdoor rehearsals and concerts and things like that. Pretty much all of these tips are also applicable. So that's what I have to share about it. JC, do you have any last thoughts on this topic before we move on?
Yeah, I've got a couple more things I did want to add, because you brought up the clothespins. You would not believe how many times I had to chase down music and drill sheets during marching band across an entire parking lot because I didn't make sure they were attached to something. So
Nice.
yeah, that's very good advice no matter what you're doing outside. The wind might be your friend to cool you off if it's hot outside, but it is not your friend when it comes to losing track of where your music's going, and it's not your friend when it comes to not falling over when you have a 40-pound tuba strapped to your body. So yeah. Actually, on that note, if you're going to be doing band and you're standing up, don't lock your knees. Just don't do it.
Oh, yeah.
You're
You will
gonna
faint.
You're gonna
Head
faint.
rush.
You're gonna have a bad time.
Yep.
When I was in high
Yep.
school, we're taking, I don't know if you're in marching band, then you're very familiar with this. If you're not, every year marching bands will typically take a big group photo at the start or the end of the season to document who's in the band, how many people are in there, so they can post up on the wall in the band room or put on their social media like, hey, look, here's who we are. We had a good time. So we're in the stadium in my high school, right? And stadium seating is it's all inclined and everything. They got bleachers. So somebody in the top row decides to lock their knees during the group picture. So what happens? They fall down and they hit people and they hit people, and it's a bad time. Instruments get broken. Just don't lock your knees, please.
That's awful.
Just don't do it. It's
Not
always
worth
a
it.
bad idea. Even if you're not in a marching band, even if you're standing there busking, or you're
Just
doing
don't
something,
do it.
just don't do it. Don't lock your knees.
Don't do it. I'd like to add on one more tip to that as
Okay.
well. Again, there's a million little things that I'm certain that we're forgetting. But wear comfortable shoes. Wear comfortable shoes, especially if you are standing. Again, I used to busk standing for hours at a time, not without breaks for tacos. But bring comfortable shoes. Your body will thank you later. Just do it.
Yeah. I guess
But-
sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to ask if we had anything else to say. Please go ahead.
So yeah, comfortable shoes, comfortable clothing. Unless you've been told you have to wear something, then you have to wear what people tell you to wear, which is unfortunate. But comfortable shoes, especially for marching band. When you get old, your feet will hate you, your knees will hate you, your hips will hate you, your back will hate you, your whole body will hate you, because marching band is hard. But if you don't take care of yourself while you're doing these things outside, even if it's not marching band, even if it's just standing in the park and playing something or sitting down outside, take care of your body and make sure you're setting yourself up for an enjoyable experience that's not going to break anything. Make sure you have good posture, do your stretches, especially if you're doing anything moving around. Stretch, hydrate,
Yes.
take care of yourself, sunscreen, lip care, mental health care, give yourself breaks. Just use common sense and do things that you think are going to set yourself up for success in the future, and you're going to have a good time, because everybody knows if you are set up and you have everything lined up, good to go, you don't have to worry about anything. You can just focus on making music or doing your rehearsal or whatever it is that you're doing, and you can have a good time, and you're going to look back on those memories and you're going to think, wow, how special it was that I was able to do something that was so much fun with all my friends and accomplish these goals or whatever. But if you're not doing these things, you're going to have a bad time, and that's all you're ever going to think about, and you're not going to enjoy making music. And That's not what we're about. We want everybody to have a good time and just make the most of all the opportunities they have. So hopefully you learned something interesting or new or helpful, or maybe it just reminded you of, oh, I should be better about hydrating before I go and do 2 weeks of band camp in the middle of July or what have you. But yeah, that's about all I've got to say on this topic. So Dana, did you want to move into the next segment this week?
Sure. I have one more thing to add. I'm very sorry.
That's all right.
But we were talking about stretches and stuff like that. And final thing on this topic, I swear, it's that you will benefit from having a regular physical activity routine. This is true of all playing, not just of outdoor playing. But outdoor playing is pretty intense. So I think that it does still apply, especially because you'll be the elements, blah, 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 standing, sitting, you get it. It does not need to be crazy. It could just be 10 minutes of yoga a day. Or it could be, for me, what works really well as a violinist, we could do a whole episode on this later, and we probably will. But for me, as a violinist, my shoulders slope forward, right? I have been playing since I was a toddler. My body has adapted to that. And so what works really well for me at the gym is doing the pec fly, right? That's the one where you're here and you have to compress it here. So strengthening your pectoral muscles and your back muscles and everything. That's what works for me. But just incorporate a little bit of regular, keyword regular, physical activity into your routine. Your body will thank you so much. Okay, now we can move on.
Yes. You have a question?
I just wanted to add something because I just got out of band camp yesterday. Like,
Oh,
it
fortuitous
finally
timing.
ended. So I do have a couple things that I did to help myself there, and one of them is most band directors, especially if you're doing something like setting drill, they are completely fine with you bringing your water bottle out with you while you set your drill. So just take your water bottle, and even if you're not thirsty, just sip on it. You can always refill it. But one of the biggest things that you'll realize is do not bring a very expensive water bottle because you are going to drop it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one.
Like we had all sorts of people bringing their $60 water bottles out and then dropping them and being all upset about it, and it's not worth it. You don't even need to bring a thermos. You're going to go through that water too fast for it to even get hot. So you can just bring like a little plastic water bottle with some collage on it and can refill it.
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
point. I had
I have
sorry?
a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
Well, it's mostly a concern, but
Reasonable.
one time when I was in my backyard practicing for some stuff for a nursing home gig that I had like it was this Monday. It was so hot and humid outside. Like a few minutes later, I started to sweat, and I realized that like I was sitting like underneath a shelter, but still I was like my skin and all like they were sweating so much that I had to go back inside right away. So next time I could have like brought a drink of water with me.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, that's true. And thank you for bringing that up as well, because that's a very real concern. You're totally right. And I just played a gig like last week or whatever where I was also sweating like crazy. It's very hot. And so I know that this wasn't a concern that you brought up at all, but I think that it's still a good thing to mention as well, is that, you know, we were talking about how violins hate water and everything like that. They don't hate humidity, but they do hate water. That does not apply to like the neck of the violin and the fingerboard right here. This part, it's all very heavily treated to handle the oil from your hands and your fingers and, you know, the sweat or whatever. This whole fingerboard and the neck here, totally fine. The varnish, not so much. The varnish is what we have to be very careful about. But these areas are kind of like immune from that. So I know that wasn't a question that you even asked, but
It's a question you
the
answered.
question I was going to ask is, how do I avoid the sweat?
You can't. You literally can't. It's if you're outside, you're gonna sweat. I know you specifically have not done marching band, but if you're not sweating, it's a problem because that means you're not hydrated enough.
I'm
It's
pretty
just
glad that we don't do marching band, to be honest.
Well, I mean,
It's not all of this.
marching band.
That's worth it.
Marching band
I've
with
never done
violins
marching.
is not really
Could've-
something that happens.
One time I actually did. One time my mother and I walked around the streets of my we walked all around the block of my house, and I had to carry my violin.
That already sounds rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel
Last
but
thing-
yeah, go for it.
Last thing for me is I don't know if anyone already mentioned it because but in marching band you have to bring deodorant.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Please.
good one. Yeah,
Please
yeah.
Because I don't care if it's Axe body spray or whatever,
don't do Axe
but
body spray. Just don't do
I
it.
care if it's Axe body spray.
Trust me, it doesn't get worse than just walking around next to a bunch of, especially when you're in close formation with a bunch of people who've been sweating and don't have any deodorant on. It's not pleasant. But,
I believe that.
Applies to band camp and anime conventions. Wear deodorant.
oh, yep.
Even most of you guys have anime pictures, and I don't.
Yeah, see? So they're speaking from experience.
It's just this again. It goes back to taking care of your
Never
body.
mind.
You have to take care of your body. You have to have deodorant. You have to hydrate. I had I don't know if you guys have heard of the Camelback brand. Maybe not anybody outside the United States has, but it's like a wearable backpack with water in it. It has a little straw that you can put in your mouth while you're walking around. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. in marching band.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's super cool.
That is pretty
Love
cool. That's awesome.
They're a little pricey, but sometimes you can find them cheaper, and there's knockoff brands as well that are a lot less money. But if you have the option to have one of those, especially if you're not having to do anything that doesn't involve, not wearing a water backpack on your back, just carry that. It's great for hiking. It's great for camping. Great for anything that you're doing, walking around outside. Hydration makes it super easy. It's fun. You might look like a dork, but who cares? You're hydrated. That's all I've got on that.
Yeah,
No
a few of
kidding.
my bands had those.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's a game changer. It's good.
Nice. I want to add one more thing before we take it to our next segment as well. Back to the question of sweating, which is very topical right
Yes.
now because I record all of these upstairs in my house.
Me too.
And I'm dying a little bit.
Well, thankfully, my house doesn't have any stairs, so the only place I record my parts in is in my room.
There you
Yeah,
go.
could be worse, I guess, huh? But I do have a couple of things that might at least help make it livable a little bit because I know that it's certainly not pleasant. First of all, and this is probably somewhat intuitive, is to wear light clothing. It's best to wear light clothing with lots of coverage if you're in the sun. That's kind of like the best thing that you can do. And again, like we were saying earlier, cold water or something like that really, really helps. But what might also help you a lot, and what I know that a lot of people do, is if you bring out like a handkerchief or a towel or something like that you could use to just kind of dab yourself off. You could even I've never done this, but because I can't afford them. I could afford them, but I just don't want to because it feels like a waste of money, but it might be applicable in this sense is, those things that you could buy at like Lush or whatever that are like spray tonic water things that you could like mist yourself with that smell nice and do good things for your skin. You could do something like that. You could bring a spray bottle or whatever. Obviously, then you have to like dry off from that, but that could help keep you cool. There's a lot of other things that you could probably do and you could probably come up with, but those are just my quick tips off the very top of my head regarding that because I know that it is very real and very annoying, especially for us because you don't want your hands slipping all over your fingerboard. But with that, I think that we'll go ahead and we'll go to our next segment. So I'm going to go ahead and give it to JC here. And you are going to tell us about the arrangement that you just put up on Play this week. Is that correct?
Yes. So I know some of you who are watching this might have seen this already. I did an arrangement of Malaguena, which is topically a piece that pretty much every marching band on the planet has performed at some point or another. So,
I've piece before.
yeah, and
No,
it's
see?
common elsewhere. As well.
One time I heard this. Okay, there was like this one time I heard this piece from that movie High Strung, and then
Oh, yeah.
another time when I heard it by the Reddit Symphony Orchestra, and they did a jazz big band version.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's actually
Well, then there you
common
go.
arrangement.
They could have hired an actual violinist to be the main actor for High Strung.
Yeah, that's that might actually be a good playground topic for the future. Is musical
already thought
portrayals
about
in
that.
movies.
I've thought about that.
They're almost
I agree.
all bad. It's, but
They're terrible.
Let's not get too off topic here because
Anyway,
I do want to be
we
respectful.
could
of time.
sidetrack all day, but
And
go on,
we
JC.
probably will after the conclusion of the episode. And this is why you should come to the live
100%.
tapings if you're watching on YouTube, because we have fun
Need
after
to
the
hang
show.
out after.
But I digress. Let's continue.
Anyway.
So it's cool that you brought up the jazz arrangement of that, actually, because one of the most popular arrangements of Malagueña is from the Stan Kenton Orchestra in the, I think it was like the 60s maybe. And I say orchestra, but in the sense of the big band, where you have trumpets, you have trombones, you have other jazz type instruments that you might not see in an orchestra. So that's one of the most famous arrangements. It's what a group called Blast has played, if you've ever heard of them. And it's what a bunch of the marching band arrangements are based on. So when I adapted this to play, as you know, if you're familiar with the Play platform, if you're not, then it's online. I guess I like to call it musicians karaoke, kind of, because there's sheet music that scrolls by on the screen and you record in real time with your audio and your video, and you can combine with other musicians. It's a lot of fun. If you're watching on YouTube, you haven't joined the Discord, you haven't tried out the app, give it a shot. It's a lot of fun, and you can play this arrangement as long as many others as well. So what I did is I took elements of that arrangement and I combined them to try and maintain as much of the essence as I could within 90-second runtime, which is sometimes it's really hard when you have a piece that's about 5 or 6 minutes long, but you can pick out different themes and you can pick out things that make the piece of music recognizable. And then you can stick them in different spots and rearrange stuff and condense things and add like layers on top of each other to make sure enough
All
of
of
it's
these are
represented.
tips from our
Yes.
Composing 101 playground that we did like 2 weeks ago or whatever. So if this sounds familiar, it's because we just did a whole episode talking about exclusively this, which can be found on YouTube.
Yes. Like all of the
Go
playground
on, please.
replays. No, but that's good that you brought that up, because it's when you're arranging anything, at risk of this turning into another arrangement thing, I'll keep this brief. It's very difficult to condense things. So I tried my best to make sure that different things that people might recognize from the song are in there. And if you want, you can take a look at the plays that are representative of this. We've got a couple pretty good ones, actually, a couple different branches. The one that has the most views right now is myself on the euphony part. We have Alan Roger on trumpet, and then Ryan.
Yeah, Alan
on
is really
euphonium,
good at trumpet.
playing tuba part. Yeah,
He's really good.
he
yeah.
is. Alan is awesome. We haven't gotten him to come
He's
onto
a
one of these things
beast.
yet, but he's had a really long career in music, and he's a fantastic trumpet player. He's got a lot of great stories, and he's a member of the Discord, and he's a member of the Play web app, and you can see him play and do all sorts of different stuff if you are a member of those communities. But yeah, I just want to take a
It's
moment to talk
worth
about
it.
that.
He's a beast.
He's so good, and he does arrangements too, and there's a couple on the platform of his. So yeah, make sure you check that out. I did want to go ahead and illustrate a little bit of the different parts here. Let me pull up a screen share real quick. So those of you in the Discord will be able to actually see this in real time. If you're on YouTube, I'm going to have to edit and overlay all of this stuff. But so if you click on the live thing in the corner, those of you on Discord, if you're on YouTube, you're going to see this in real time. So I'm in the record screen of Play, so you can still see my face as I'm talking about these things, and you can see my my mouse cursor. So this is the first trumpet part. So you can see right here this beginning of the melody that you might recognize from the piece if you're familiar with it. And then you can see also down here at the end in the shout section, it's that same melody. So that's the most, I guess, iconic part of the piece for most people who might have heard a marching band play it or seen videos of the original performances. Like, this piece has been performed so many times, so many different arrangements, so many different styles. It's one of the more prolific pieces in the band idiom and other orchestral variants as well. So I wanted to make sure that I got these things in here. And then this middle section is actually a combination of a couple different things. So we're going to make a change over here to the, let's see if I can find the, have to back out.
Someone told me that a shout section is like almost like a little variation of the theme.
Yeah, so it can be. It depends on how you choose to write stuff. So what I ended up doing for the shout section is I combined a couple of different parts of the song where the main theme appears. So you have the da 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 da. You have that like line going, and you also have this counter melody that appears at a couple different parts in the song. So let me back out of this and do the horn part. So we'll come back in here and I will click in here. So you see this, I think it's, whereas right about here, I think it's measure 42. Da, 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 da. This melody is like it's a call and response thing, right? But in the original song, when the trumpets have the do 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 do, that's not in there. But the Stan Kenton arrangement has this in there, and a lot of the marching band arrangements have it in there. And I thought it was really cool. So I wanted to put it right next to that other part, because that's something that's iconic and recognizable. And I think it works pretty well. I think it's a fun arrangement. So if you want to be a part of that, you don't have to be a brass player just because it's a brass instrumentation. You don't have to be a brass player to take part. You can play it on any part, on any instrument, like you always can in any play. So if you can transpose it, you can play it. That's one of my favorite mottos when it comes to doing stuff on play. But yeah, I just wanted to take a moment to highlight that. So if you haven't had a chance to check it out, please do join in. It's a whole lot of fun. And I hope you guys will enjoy that. So I'm going to go ahead and stop streaming on that. I just wanted to highlight, like we try to do every week, something new on the platform that you might not have seen. So you have an opportunity to see if there's something that you might want to play. So I think we have one more thing planned for this week.
I also want to take a quick moment while we're talking about all of this composition stuff to plug a new and exciting announcement that we have that I know that JC and I are both incredibly excited about.
Oh, that's right.
So if you have frequented these playground episodes, or perhaps if you have taken part in this class before, then you might already be aware that we occasionally offer a composition masterclass, which that is a different thing than the playground, although it is hosted in the same place and everything. But basically, what that entails is members of the play community can go ahead and submit either a finished score that they have or something that they are working on. And then JC and I will give our feedback, give our critiques, help make it better as much as we can. And those are a ton of fun. Really love doing those. And I know that is probably our most popular community event. And we are so stoked and so excited to announce that we are now going to be doing those regularly. We're going to be doing one of those every month. The way that it's going to work is that the masterclass will be held on the first Friday of every month, and the submission deadline for pieces is going to be the last Friday of every month. This event is also fantastic if you are a total beginning composer, if you are a total professional composer, anything in between, or if you don't compose at all and you just like listening to music and giving helpful feedback. This is an incredibly fun event. We really, really love hosting it, and we are so excited to be doing it regularly. So you can go ahead and look at the Play Discord for more information and to see all of this info written down and stuff like that. But we are very excited about that, and we hope to see you there. So now we can go ahead and we can move into our last section. This is going to be a little bit different today because we had some technical issues with the typical blind test videos. So we're going to do a similar but a different version of it. And so what we're going to do is we're going to be doing Name That Tune, but we're going to be doing Name That Tune with not the winners of the song polls every week, but with the second places, the third places, with all of those ones that are always almost there, but not quite. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do a quick audio test because if you have been frequenting the Discord live streams, we edit them out of the final recordings, hopefully.
We do.
Know that my Mac hates internal audio. It does not do it. It does not play it, and it's awful. So I'm going to be playing these songs off of my phone. We're going to do a quick audio test just to make sure that it's working okay. Otherwise, this is going to work exactly the same as our typical blind tests or, name that tune in general. If you can come up with either the name of the song or the composer, then you win a point, and whoever has the most points is going to get the Game Night Champion role on Discord, and they're also going to get a free play t-shirt. So that's super exciting.
Snazzy.
You could go ahead, you could shout your answers out here, you could type them in the chat. Either way, we'll be able to keep track of them. So I'm going to pull up the playlist, and again, like I was saying earlier, just shout out the name if you have it, the composer, anything, it all counts. Here is our first one.
The Halo.
From Halo.
Yeah! Oh!
Duke was
you got it
just
first.
barely ahead.
Here, JC, do you mind keeping track?
I'm
Because my
keeping
computer
score, yeah.
is going nuts. All right. Aryakeep, just barely. All right, here's our next one. Also, disclaimer, I put these all on Spotify, right before this episode because of our tech difficulties. So hopefully they all sound good. We're going to find out together.
Yeah.
Here's the next
If
one.
someone find your...
Yeah, here we go.
Can.
Yeah, you got it.
All
Good
right,
one.
we're all
Well, it
tied up.
depends, because it's also Orpheus in the underworld, so...
That's
But
true.
did you say that?
Ariana said it first. All right, here's our next one. Ready?
I have hearing.
No kidding. All right, here's the next one.
In the Hall of the King.
Why are you playing all the classical ones?
Come on.
I recognize them.
Two. There have been two.
Sounds like a skill issue to me.
All right, next one. Next one.
Bit tricky.
Do you guys need a hint? Do you want a hint?
Yeah.
All right, this is from a very popular musical.
One of the most popular.
Of the
One of
Opera.
the-
Phantom of the Opera.
But what's the title of the song?
Here, I think
I
don't know where the
recall.
chorus is. I don't
comes
know
up
where
in
the
like a
chorus
minute and a
is. So I think I'll go ahead and give it to you for Phantom. That was the music of the night from Phantom of the Opera.
Music of the Night.
Yes.
Oh, I could have got that one.
Well, we're going to give you the points
give
anyway
you-
because you said what musical it was.
Yeah. All right. I don't know how.
Thanks.
Actually, I won't say anything until afterwards. I don't want to give it away.
All right. You got a friend in me.
No, although it sounds just like that.
Oh.
Aryakeep, you have a shot. I promise. This is from an anime.
Oh, anime.
Nothing? Aryakeep, nothing?
I can
The
barely
only-
even understand what they're trying to
The
do.
only anime I would recognize is Hibaki Euphonium and Liz and the Bluebird.
Yeah, that's not from either
Fair
of those.
enough. Here, I'll go ahead and pause it because there we go. So that one, I'm pretty sure I don't watch this anime. This was recommended to me online, and so I have only read this in my head and not actually. This is Binks Sake, Binks
Oh.
Sake, something like
Sake.
that.
It's a Japanese liquor.
Okay, I was pretty sure that it was referencing the liquor, but I wasn't exactly certain exactly what it was about or what the context was. So yes, Binks Sake from One Piece. All right, we have two more after
Yeah,
this, and we're going to drastically deviate in genre. We got two more. Here's our first one. Ready, set, go.
Wait. It's a Stevie Wonder song.
That's true.
You can feel it all over. something like that.
That's not the title of the song, but that is one of the lyrics.
Very close.
The only
I'll give
reason
you a few
I
more.
I recognize it, but only from a Trent Hamilton video.
Sure.
Love his videos.
I'll give you a few more. Vicky. When does he say it? Here. Yeah, he says it later. I didn't remember if he said it there or not. We'll give it to you. That was Sir Duke by Stevie Wonder.
I don't recall the title.
No, I never remember the titles of these things. I'm a menace at Name That Tune because I'm just like jumping and I'm like, oh my god, I know it, but I can't name the title.
When I hear the chorus of a song, I would literally thought that it would be the title.
Oh,
It's
sure.
not
that makes sense. All right, we have one more today. This is our last one.
Let's hope I get this one right.
I guess.
Yeah, go for it.
There.
That sounds like
Pink
Pink
Panther.
Panther.
Pink Panther.
I'll give it to both of you two. I'll give what
Wait, everybody
Keith
got
and Casper. I think you got it same time. All right, well, Killer, that is all that I have prepared for our Name That Tune today. Again, we normally do the blind test at this point, but we were having some technical issues, so we just sort of modified it a little bit. I'm sure that we'll be back to normal with it next week. Thank you for your patience, but that is all that we have for today. If you are in the Discord, you are still perfectly welcome to hang out and chit-chat and all that great stuff afterwards. If you are on the YouTube, however, then that is the end of our episode for today. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We always greatly appreciate it. If you have any questions about outdoor music, busking, band camp, marching band, any of those things that we did not cover today, or if you have questions about our composition masterclass or anything like that, feel free to put those in the comments and we will get to you there. Otherwise, you can find us on the Play by Jellynote Discord and, of course, the Play by Jellynote platform, both of which I'm sure are linked in the bio. But thank you so much for listening today. We greatly appreciate your company, and we hope to see you here again next week. Bye!
See ya.